Hello everyone, Dr. Alan Mandell here. Welcome back to my channel, Science of Healing. Have you ever wondered why so many people struggle with bloating, fatigue, brain fog, food sensitivities, and digestive discomfort, even when they're trying to eat healthy? The answer may lie in something called leaky gut, also known as increased intestinal permeability. And according to emerging research, there is one inexpensive supplement that may help repair and strengthen the gut lining. And the results are surprising. Today we're going to talk about a powerful nutrient called L-glutamine. This simple, affordable supplement has been studied for its ability to help repair the intestinal wall, reduce inflammation, and restore gut integrity. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how it works inside the body and how you can use it safely in your daily routine. For millions of people around the world, the day begins the same way. A heavy stomach, uncomfortable bloating, strange fatigue, and a foggy mind that refuses to clear. Many blame stress, aging, or a bad meal from the night before. But what if the real problem is something far deeper, something happening inside the very walls of your digestive system? Hidden within your body is a protective barrier so important that scientists now believe it may control not only digestion, but inflammation, immunity, and even brain health. This barrier is known as the intestinal lining, and when it begins to break down, the consequences can affect nearly every organ in the body. Inside your small intestine are trillions of microscopic cells packed tightly together. These cells form what researchers call tight junctions, tiny molecular gates that regulate what enters your bloodstream. Think of them as highly intelligent security guards. They allow essential nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and amino acids to pass through, while blocking toxins, bacteria, and harmful particles. When this system works properly, your body absorbs nourishment efficiently while staying protected from dangerous invaders. But when these tight junctions weaken, something alarming begins to happen. Small openings start to form between the intestinal cells. These gaps allow substances that should never enter your bloodstream to slip through unnoticed. Undigested food particles, bacterial toxins, and inflammatory compounds suddenly gain access to the body's internal environment. This process is what scientists refer to as increased intestinal permeability, more commonly known as leaky gut. And the consequences can be far more serious than most people realize. A landmark discovery involving a protein called zonulin revealed that when this molecule becomes overactive, it can trigger the opening of tight junctions in the intestinal wall. Elevated zonulin levels have been linked to numerous inflammatory conditions, including autoimmune disorders, digestive diseases, and chronic inflammation. In simple terms, when the gut barrier weakens, the immune system goes into overdrive. The moment foreign particles enter the bloodstream, your immune defenses interpret them as threats. The body launches an inflammatory response designed to attack these invaders. But when this happens repeatedly, day after day, the immune system never truly shuts off. This constant state of inflammation can slowly begin to affect tissues throughout the entire body. Researchers have now linked increased intestinal permeability to conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, food sensitivities, chronic fatigue, skin disorders, and even mood disturbances. But perhaps the most shocking discovery is how widespread the symptoms can be. You may experience frequent bloating that appears after nearly every meal. Your stomach may feel swollen or uncomfortable even when you eat healthy foods. You may feel exhausted despite getting enough sleep. Brain fog may cloud your thoughts, making concentration difficult. Some people develop mysterious skin problems like eczema, acne, or rashes that seem to appear without explanation. Others notice joint discomfort, headaches, or strange reactions to foods they once tolerated easily. These symptoms may appear unrelated at first, but many researchers now believe they may share one common root: a compromised gut barrier. What makes this even more concerning is how modern lifestyles may be silently damaging the intestinal lining every day. Highly processed foods, excessive sugar, alcohol, chronic stress, environmental toxins, and certain medications, especially frequent antibiotic use, have all been shown to disrupt the balance of the gut microbiome and weaken the intestinal barrier. When beneficial gut bacteria decline and harmful microbes begin to dominate, they can produce compounds that irritate the intestinal lining. Over time, this irritation may contribute to the breakdown of tight junctions. Stress alone can play a powerful role. Scientific studies have demonstrated that chronic psychological stress can alter gut bacteria, reduce protective mucus layers, and increase intestinal permeability. Even sleep deprivation has been shown to negatively affect the gut barrier. In other words, the gut lining is constantly responding to the way we live, eat, and manage stress. But here is something that many people do not realize. The intestinal lining is not a static structure. It is one of the most rapidly regenerating tissues in the human body. The cells that form this protective barrier are replaced approximately every 3 to 5 days. This means that under the right conditions, the gut has an incredible ability to repair itself. However, when damaging factors continue day after day, the body may struggle to keep up with the constant demand for repair. Imagine trying to rebuild a wall while someone keeps removing bricks faster than you can replace them. Eventually, the structure weakens, and when the gut barrier weakens, the entire body can begin to feel the impact. Scientists now refer to the gut as the gateway to health. And for good reason. Nearly 70% of the immune system resides within the gut, constantly interacting with the bacteria and molecules that pass through the digestive tract. If the gut barrier becomes compromised, the immune system remains in a state of constant alert. This chronic immune activation can slowly contribute to widespread inflammation, a condition that many researchers now believe is at the root of numerous chronic diseases. But there is also hope hidden within this science, because the same system that can become damaged also has the ability to recover. By understanding how the intestinal barrier works and by removing the factors that irritate it, the body can begin the process of rebuilding its natural defenses. The gut lining can strengthen, tight junctions can tighten once again, inflammation can begin to calm. And when that happens, many people report something remarkable. Their digestion becomes more comfortable, their energy begins to return, brain fog slowly lifts, skin problems may improve, even mood and mental clarity can change. This is why scientists are paying closer attention than ever before to the integrity of the intestinal barrier. Because when the gut wall becomes stronger, it doesn't just improve digestion, it protects the entire body. And what happens next may surprise you. Researchers are now discovering that certain nutrients and natural compounds may play a critical role in supporting the repair of this delicate barrier. One particular nutrient has captured the attention of scientists worldwide, a compound that the cells of the intestinal lining depend on for survival. And in the next part of this story, you'll discover how this simple nutrient may help the gut rebuild itself from the inside out. Deep inside your digestive system, something extraordinary is happening every single second. Trillions of microscopic cells are working tirelessly to protect you from toxins, bacteria, and harmful invaders. These cells form the lining of your intestines, a barrier so important that scientists now call it one of the most powerful defense systems in the human body. But this protective wall has one critical weakness. It depends on a very specific fuel to survive. And without that fuel, the entire system can begin to collapse. That fuel is a simple amino acid called L-glutamine. L-glutamine is the most abundant amino acid circulating in the human body. It exists in your blood, your muscles, your lungs, and even your brain. But nowhere is it more important than in the cells that line your digestive tract. These cells are called enterocytes, and they have a unique characteristic that surprises many scientists. Unlike most cells in the body that rely primarily on glucose for energy, Enterocytes depend heavily on glutamine as their main fuel source. In fact, research has shown that these intestinal cells burn glutamine at extremely high rates to maintain their structure and function. Think of glutamine as the lifeblood of your intestinal wall. Without it, the cells responsible for protecting your body begin to weaken. And when those cells weaken, the tight junctions that hold them together begin to loosen. When this happens, the gut barrier can no longer function at full strength. Small gaps may begin to appear between the intestinal cells, allowing substances that should remain in the digestive tract to slip into the bloodstream. This process can trigger inflammation throughout the body. But here is where the science becomes fascinating. Researchers have discovered that replenishing glutamine levels may help strengthen and repair the gut lining by giving these intestinal cells the exact fuel they need to rebuild themselves. When enterocytes receive adequate glutamine, they are able to regenerate faster, repair damaged tissue, and reinforce the tight junction proteins that keep the intestinal barrier sealed. In other words, glutamine doesn't just support digestion. It helps rebuild the very wall that protects your entire body from harmful invaders. Scientific studies over the past 2 decades have repeatedly demonstrated this powerful effect. One study published in the journal Clinical Nutrition found that glutamine supplementation significantly improved intestinal barrier function in individuals experiencing increased gut permeability. The researchers observed that glutamine helped restore the integrity of the intestinal lining and reduced the movement of toxins across the gut wall. Another investigation conducted in hospital patients showed that glutamine supplementation supported the regeneration of intestinal cells and improved the health of the gut lining during times of severe physiological stress. Even athletes provide a fascinating example of this effect. Intense physical training places enormous stress on the body, and researchers have found that prolonged endurance exercise can temporarily increase intestinal permeability. In response, scientists discovered that glutamine supplementation helped reduce this gut barrier disruption and supported faster recovery of intestinal integrity. But why does the body rely so heavily on glutamine in the first place? The answer lies in the unique demands placed on the gut lining. Your intestinal barrier is constantly exposed to food particles, bacteria, digestive acids, and environmental toxins. It must perform the delicate task of absorbing nutrients while simultaneously protecting the body from harmful substances. To maintain this balance, the intestinal lining renews itself at an astonishing speed. Every 3 to 5 days, the cells lining your gut are replaced by brand new ones. This rapid turnover means the body requires a constant supply of nutrients to fuel the rebuilding process. Glutamine plays a central role in this regeneration. It not only provides energy for intestinal cells, but also supports protein synthesis, DNA repair, and the production of protective compounds that strengthen the gut barrier. Some studies have also shown that glutamine may help regulate inflammation within the digestive tract by influencing immune cells that live inside the gut lining. Remember, nearly 70% of your immune system resides in your digestive system. When the gut barrier is damaged, immune cells are constantly exposed to substances that should never reach the bloodstream. This forces the immune system into a state of continuous activation. Glutamine appears to help calm this process by supporting the structural integrity of the intestinal wall, reducing the likelihood that inflammatory triggers will escape into circulation. But modern lifestyles can quietly drain the body's glutamine reserves. Periods of intense stress, illness, injury, infections, and chronic inflammation dramatically increase the body's demand for this amino acid. During these times, the body may begin to use glutamine faster than it can produce it. When that happens, glutamine levels can drop, and when glutamine levels fall, the gut lining may struggle to maintain its protective structure. This is why scientists sometimes refer to glutamine as a conditionally essential amino acid, Under normal circumstances, the body can produce enough of it, but during times of stress or illness, the demand may exceed the body's ability to supply it. When this imbalance occurs, the intestinal barrier may become vulnerable. But when glutamine levels are restored, the body can begin repairing itself from the inside out. Many individuals who support their gut health through proper nutrition and glutamine intake report improvements that extend far beyond digestion. Some notice reduced bloating and digestive discomfort. Others experience clearer thinking as brain fog begins to lift. Skin issues may improve, energy levels may stabilize, and the body may begin to feel more balanced overall. These improvements highlight something remarkable about the gut. It is not just a digestive organ, it is a central command center that influences immunity, metabolism, inflammation, and even communication with the brain. Scientists now refer to this relationship as the gut-brain axis, a complex communication network linking the digestive system to the nervous system. When the gut barrier is healthy, this communication remains stable. But when the intestinal wall becomes compromised, signals between the gut and brain can become disrupted. This may explain why gut dysfunction is often associated with fatigue, mood disturbances, and cognitive changes. By supporting the health of the intestinal lining, glutamine may help restore balance within this entire system. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of this discovery is its simplicity. The cells that protect your body from harmful substances are not asking for complicated treatments. They simply require the nutrients that allow them to do their job. And one of the most important of those nutrients is glutamine, a small molecule with an enormous responsibility, a molecule that helps fuel the very barrier standing between your body and the outside world. And when that barrier becomes stronger, something remarkable begins to happen. The body doesn't just digest food better, it begins to heal. Imagine waking up every morning with a digestive system that feels calm, balanced, and energized instead of bloated, sluggish, or uncomfortable. For many people, that transformation begins with one simple decision: giving the body the nutrients and lifestyle support it needs to repair the gut from within. Because while the human body has an incredible ability to heal, it requires the right conditions to do so. And when it comes to restoring the gut barrier, consistency in daily habits may be the most powerful medicine of all. One of the most studied ways to support this healing process involves the regular use of L-glutamine, the amino acid that intestinal cells depend on for fuel. Scientists have repeatedly observed that when glutamine is available in sufficient amounts, the cells lining the gut wall are better equipped to repair damage, regenerate rapidly, and strengthen the tight junctions that hold the intestinal barrier together. But here is something important that many people overlook. The body does not rebuild the gut lining in a single moment. Healing the intestinal barrier is a gradual biological process that unfolds over time. The cells that form the lining of your digestive tract renew themselves approximately every 3 to 5 days, meaning that every week your body is essentially constructing a brand new intestinal surface. And when that rebuilding process is supported with the right nutrients, the results can be remarkable. Research has shown that a commonly used daily amount of L-glutamine is about 5 grams, often taken on an empty stomach. This timing allows the amino acid to be absorbed efficiently and delivered to the tissues that rely on it most. Many individuals choose to mix glutamine powder with water first thing in the morning, while others take it between meals so the digestive system can utilize it without interference from large amounts of dietary protein. The powder itself dissolves easily, has very little taste, and enters the bloodstream quickly, where it begins supporting the cells that line the intestinal wall. Some people divide their intake into 2 smaller servings during the day, particularly when their digestive system has experienced prolonged stress or irritation. But the true power of glutamine appears when it becomes part of a consistent daily routine rather than an occasional supplement. Scientific evidence suggests that when glutamine levels remain steady in the body, intestinal cells receive a continuous supply of the fuel required for regeneration. This ongoing support may help the gut maintain stronger tight junctions and reduce the likelihood that toxins or inflammatory molecules will pass through the intestinal barrier. However, researchers emphasize something equally important. Supplements alone cannot overcome habits that constantly damage the gut lining. If the body is attempting to repair the intestinal barrier while simultaneously being exposed to irritants every day, the healing process can slow dramatically. This is why lifestyle changes play a powerful role in restoring gut health. Highly processed foods are one of the biggest contributors to intestinal irritation in the modern diet. Many of these foods contain additives, refined sugars, artificial ingredients, and unhealthy fats that can disrupt the balance of gut bacteria and promote inflammation along the intestinal wall. When the gut microbiome becomes imbalanced, harmful bacteria may produce compounds that weaken the protective mucus layer covering the intestinal lining. This leaves the delicate cells of the gut wall more vulnerable to damage. Reducing these foods and replacing them with whole, nutrient-dense options can dramatically improve the environment in which the gut barrier must function. Fiber-rich vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains help feed beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds known to support the health of intestinal cells. Fermented foods such as yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi introduce beneficial microbes that may help restore microbial balance within the digestive system. These bacteria play a powerful role in protecting the gut barrier by reinforcing the natural defenses of the intestinal lining. Hydration is another factor that many people underestimate. Water supports digestion, nutrient absorption, and the production of protective mucus within the gut. Even mild dehydration can slow digestive processes and place additional stress on the intestinal environment. Sleep also holds surprising power over the health of the gut barrier. Studies have shown that sleep deprivation can disrupt the gut microbiome and increase markers of intestinal permeability. When the body does not receive adequate rest, inflammation levels may rise, making it harder for the gut lining to repair itself. Chronic stress may be one of the most damaging factors of all. The brain and the gut are deeply connected through what scientists call the gut-brain axis. When stress hormones remain elevated for long periods of time, they can alter digestive function, weaken the intestinal barrier, and disrupt the balance of beneficial gut bacteria. In fact, some research suggests that psychological stress alone may increase intestinal permeability, allowing inflammatory molecules to pass through the gut wall more easily. This means that relaxation, movement, and stress-reducing practices are not just beneficial for mental health. They may also play a direct role in strengthening the gut lining. Regular physical activity has been shown to improve microbial diversity in the gut and support healthy digestion. Gentle movement, such as walking, stretching, or yoga, may stimulate intestinal circulation and enhance the delivery of nutrients to the cells responsible for repairing the gut barrier. When these lifestyle habits combine with the nutritional support provided by glutamine, the body receives multiple signals encouraging repair and balance. And something remarkable often begins to happen. People frequently report that the symptoms they once believed were permanent start to fade. Digestive discomfort may decrease. Bloating may become less frequent. Energy levels may begin to stabilize throughout the day. Some notice clearer thinking as brain fog lifts. Others observe improvements in their skin, their mood, and their overall sense of vitality. These changes reveal an important truth about the human body. When the gut barrier becomes stronger, the entire system begins to function more efficiently. Nutrients are absorbed more effectively. The immune system no longer needs to remain in constant defense mode. Inflammation may begin to calm throughout the body. And all of this can begin with something surprisingly simple: providing the cells of the gut with the nutrients and environment they need to rebuild themselves. Healing does not happen overnight. It unfolds gradually, cell by cell, layer by layer, as the body restores the protective wall that separates the outside world from the delicate systems within. But with patience, consistency, and the right daily choices, the gut barrier can grow stronger again. And when that barrier stands firm, the entire body benefits. Because a healthy gut is not just about digestion. It is the foundation upon which true health is built.